The only 3.6 liter Charger that I respect it is a guy named D. Ford. Now let's move forward. I want to talk about something that a lot of people talk about in the Mopar community. There's this thing about upbadging. There's this thing about a Scat Pack and an SRT. How you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that. I talked about this in another video before, and I think it's very strange that people try to tell people how to and what to do to their cars. I think that's very weird that you have the audacity to tell a person you can't do that, because I think you shouldn't. Your car, you do what you want to it. To me, I wouldn't feel comfortable putting Hellcat badges on my Scat Pack just because I made it look like a Hellcat. You know what I'm saying? That's just me personally. I wouldn't do it because when I pop the hood, it's not going to be a supercharger under there. It's just going to be a 6.4 liter 392. So that's a personal preference where I choose not to do that. But the people that do that, hey, that's you if you want to do that. You want to rebadge your car to do whatever, yeah, that's fine. But as far as the 392 Hemi goes, I've seen under the hood of my car it says powered by SRT. There are so many people out there that gets in the Mopar community that just get all worked up about another person putting an SRT cover over it or putting SRT badges on their car. It's the same engine, folks. You really got to get past this. It's the same engine. The SRT people, the people who chose to buy the actual the branding of SRT cars, the 392 SRT, to me, they just paid extra money to say that they have an SRT. I'm not trying to insult you. You just paid for a few extra things, like your engine bay covers are different. Because if I'm buying a car like this, it looks cool, but I'm looking for performance first. And that's one of the reasons why I did not buy an SRT. I could have purchased an SRT. I could have purchased a Daytona. But when it boiled down to it, I thought, what am I buying this for? Just for the name? I want the engine and the transmission and the brakes. And so, you can get 6-piston brakes on the Scat Pack. Everybody knows this who has a Scat Pack or who just follows the Mopar community. You can get 6-piston brakes. And personally, 4-piston brakes are more than enough. And you also got to think about repairs too, because brakes are going to wear out, rotors are going to wear out. You think about the repairs that you're going to have to do with a 6-piston brake. Now, most people will probably just switch to a different brand, a slotted rotor, but I don't know. I want to try to keep it all Mopar if I can. The Mopar community is not like any other community I've been in. I've had SS Camaros. I've had actually 4 Camaros, I think I had 4 Camaros. So I like Ford, I like Chevy, but I'm definitely pro Mopar. Definitely, I definitely like Mopar. But as far as the engines go, let's jump over here to the engines. If you have a 3.6 liter, you guys also know I have a 3.6 liter Charger too. It looks just like my Scat Pack, except it's a 3.6 liter, the F8 green, my monster. Love that car. Listen, again, with the Mopar community, I don't know what gives some of these guys the right to tell people that they cannot buy something or they shouldn't, or they should buy something. But here's my experience with owning a 5.7, because I've actually had a 5.7. My 2018 300 was a 5.7 liter, and I've also owned several 5.7 liter Chargers. So here's how I feel about this. And obviously I have owned the Scat Packs before, and I have a Scat Pack 2 also, but I want to say this to the people that are telling people to not buy a 5.7 liter. Well, first of all, if you're shopping for a car and you look for Mopar, you need to stay within your budget. You need to get what you actually like. So that's for starters. I would tell a person who has a 5.7 is thinking about upgrading to a 392, I would say it's totally worth it. Because if you start to try to mod a 5.7, which I have, I dumped a lot of money into my 2018 Chrysler 300, and I thought, this just isn't worth it, man. I'm gonna have to supercharge this car to get some real power out of it from what I want from the jump. So the trick is, when you buy a car, you're into performance, you have to buy something that's already really fast. And the 392s, I don't care what you hear a person saying about the 392s, can be beat by a 5.7. A stock 5.7 is really close to a 392. Listen, it's close but no contest. You're gonna, if you even modify 5.7s, that are not. I've actually raced a supercharged 5.7 liter. Maybe I'll post some footage up, but you guys already know what happened. So, just by my expressions, it also depends on how much boost people are running, things like that. So, but if you try to race if you put a stock 5.7 liter up against a 392, it's going to get walked, folks. It's absolutely, even a lot of, you put headers, cams, and really you can put a whole bunch of stuff on a car, but we all know it's the person behind the wheel that makes that car run. So if you get all this stuff and you don't know how to drive your car, you're scared to drive it, you lose. Winning's winning. So a 5.7 liter owner who's heavily modifying their car, I would tell you to stop, man. Because you think about all the money that you're dumping into this 5.7 liter. If you're not supercharging, this is to the people that are not supercharging. If you're not supercharging, do not heavily mod a 5.7 liter car. You know, you're gonna end up, okay, so if you can do nitrous, but a safe shot is 75 to 100. 75 is really safe on a 5.7 liter where you can run it. But remember, when you use NOS, you're running your engine, you're wearing your engine out faster. And you can only do so much to a 5.7 liter to get that real power. I watch there's probably a lot of 5.7 liter owners out there that mod their cars, and I watch several of these people, and I'm not going to tell those people you need to quit and just go buy a 392. I would tell you, a person who's asking me, if you were sitting here directly in front of me, I would say, don't mod your 5.7 liter. From experience, it's going to take a lot to get that 5.7 liter up to speed and make you happy, pretty much. So your baseline on a 5.7 liter, it's a fast car. You know, you can't sleep on those cars. But there are cars out there that can actually beat a 5.7 liter that are lighter with less horsepower, because the weight ratio helps it. Especially the Chargers. They're heavy cars. A 5.7 liter Charger owner might be upset. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. But remember, I've modded my 5.7 liter. Okay, so it's going to take a lot to make that car move. You got to start with a baseline like the 392, which is already extremely powerful. So 5.7 liter owners, I would tell you, you know, if you haven't invested too much money, just stop modding that 5.7 liter. If you're not going to get a supercharger and put on it, or do a 100 shot or a 75 shot, you're probably not going to be as happy as you think once you get next to a stock 392. It'll surprise you, man. I've seen videos of 392s racing 5.7s and modified 5.7s, and they're like, oh, it was a close race. But get them on an open road, and yeah, because the 5.7 liter might be able to hang if you go from a dig, depending on if both the guys have traction. But the 392 is going to pull away. It's just the way it is. This isn't rocket science. I mean, you're talking about 485 horsepower and 475 torque compared to 100 less. I mean, come on. You can modify it all you want to. Once you get to about 70 or so, the 392 will, from experience, I've just begun to just leave the other car. Like, there's no catching up. So again, I've seen videos of 5.7 liters being modded, and when I was modding my own, I was like, I feel like I'm just wasting time, man. I gotta, and I ran into some issues also, so that's why the reason I sold my 5.7 and just went and got another scat pack. But I like the 5.7 liters. You know, they're fast cars. The Challenger 5.7 liters are really fast compared to the Chargers. I've seen those line up in the Challenger one, but you know, a modded 5.7 liter Charger, the ones I've seen, they're not close to 392s at all, man. Because the 392s stock run 12s. A stock 5.7 liter does not run 12s. A modified 5.7 liter, I haven't seen any of those run at 12, depending on what they have. Like, like I said, if it's not a supercharger or some NOS or something like that, even NOS, you know, might not help as much against the 392. And I'm talking about, I've seen these races. But when you look on YouTube, you might see races of 5.7 liters up against 392s, and oh, it was a close race, and nah, it's not happening. You need the real race starts after about 65 or so. That's when the real race starts, because a lot of cars can pull on the 392s from a dig if they don't have traction, for one, and plus it's a 4,400 pound car. So yeah, you might get that little pull at the jump, but after that, it's over. I mean, we got to be realistic here. There's no way that a 5.7 liter can beat a 392. It's just not going to happen. So no matter how much you try to convince yourself, it's not happening. Unless you're doing some big modifications. You can put your lawn tubes, you can put your tune, you can put your cam on there. Especially if you're running against a modified 392. It's just not happening. So advice to a person who's considering, if you don't have a 392 and you don't have a 5.7 liter, I would tell you, go with the 392, because the 5.7 liters, to me, are a little overpriced where I live at. You know, sometimes they want, like, I don't know if you remember the 2018 white 5.7 liter RT Charger I got until my silver one came in, my Scat Pack came in. It was $45,000, man. That's no way. But it had every option just about, except for a sunroof. But at the same time, base 5.7 liter Chargers, depending on where you live, you're going to have to search around for a good price. Because there's V6s that actually cost almost as much as an RT. So if you're into performance, you definitely need not to buy the 5.7 or the 3.6 unless you're going straight, unless you have your supercharger ready to go. Unless you have it ready to go, you're going to start wanting that extra power. And then I wouldn't supercharge a 5.7 liter, because you think about how much that costs. That's about 10 grand if you want to get it done right. Because the superchargers alone are about 7 grand. And then to put it on, unless you know how to put it on, that's another 3 grand or so. So if you're not willing to do that, start with the 392. And you can get pre-owned 392s. Now, there's people buying pre-owned Hellcats for $45, $40. There's a guy in the club. He has a pre-owned Hellcat, still under warranty. He had low miles. I think like 10,000 miles or something like that. He paid $44 for it. It's crazy. So you got to do your research. Get the lowest price. If you're really into performance, you should be trying to find a pre-owned Hellcat because they're out there. But if your budget still isn't that high, or you just want a brand new one, Scat Pack is the way to go. I'm not an expert on modding cars, but I've been doing Mopar, and I'm not the youngest person. I'm knocking down 50's door. So I've been doing cars for a while, and I'm not saying I have all the right answers. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just telling you, based on my experience, you have to start a baseline with a car that can move out. And having owned all of the baselines, the V6, I still have a 2018 3.6 liter, which is not for race. It's just, the cruiser or whatever. But having owned the 5.7s, having owned the SS Camaro, the SS Camaro can beat the 5.7 liter like crazy. It just walks away from them. There's plenty of cars out there that can walk away from the 5.7 liter. And it boils down to how you want to spend your money. If on the jump you can't get a 392, like there was a guy, I think his name is Mr. Pennistar or something like that. He has a 3.6 liter. And he was like, he made a video or something like that saying, he really wants a 392. I told him, I said, I wouldn't settle for, because if you want a 392, why are you buying a 5.7 liter? So, and that's not directed to him, but I commented on that video, and I told him, I said, listen, don't settle for this. Don't buy a 5.7 liter when you can just wait it out a little bit longer and get the 392 you want. That's the advice. If you want a 392, save your money and get it. There's nothing wrong. Like, again, I'm not saying the 5.7 liters are trash. I've owned several of them. I just know from experience that it's going to take you a while unless you have the 10 grand for a supercharger. You're going to race other cars and you're going to lose. There was this one guy who bought an RT Challenger. I forgot his name. And he he posted a video. I forgot his name. He's on. You guys will in the comments section if you've seen that video before. I don't know. It's a white guy. His Challenger was black, I believe. He got it lowered. He got he did a few things to it. Then he raced a Camaro or something and got beat bad. And he was like, I wasted money. He went back and took the L and traded and got a 392 Scat Pack Challenger. So, ultimately the story is, if you are really into performance, to me, if you're into Mopar, you're into performance, don't go any lower than the 392. Don't do it, because you're going to be wanting that power once you start to spend that money to get that 5.7 liter souped up. Now, the only 3.7 liter, this person probably doesn't know me. They don't have to know me, but the only 3.6 liter charger that I respect it is a guy named D. Ford. I'm not subscribed to his channel. I'm not subscribed to a lot of channels, but I watch you guys' videos because I'm a tech reviewer and I do cars too, but primarily this channel is about tech. So, but at your request, some subscribers requested, Jay, we know you got some hot cars because I saw them on social media. You need to start doing videos on them. So I said, okay, I'll start doing more car videos. But D. Ford, this guy, he has probably the most respectable 3.6 liter that I've seen. There's another little young guy with a 3.6 liter Challenger, and there's a video out here of him racing the Demon and beating it. Now, obviously, that is a joke to me. I kind of no disrespect to this person, but I kind of laughed when I saw that because I thought the Demon driver was either new, didn't know anything about their car, and he was excited like he really beat this Demon. I'm thinking, okay, man, your V6 Challenger is supercharged or whatever, it's fast, it's quick, but you cannot beat a Demon. Now, I know that's on video, but if that driver were to line up and know what they were doing or didn't fall asleep at the wheel, do you honestly believe this person in a V6 supercharged Challenger could beat a Demon? Not going to happen. Again, no disrespect to that person. I forget his name. Some young guy with a little Challenger, this supercharged. I watched that video and I was like, is he serious, man? Line him up again. It was a fair race because the other driver fell asleep or didn't know how to work their car. If that was a Demon, and it looked like it was a Demon, respect. But that person obviously just didn't know what they were doing. If you watch that video, he took off, and the other person was still at the line pretty much. And so by the time that person realized it kicked in, maybe he didn't even try, because he realized, okay, I fell asleep at the wheel. Yeah. Moral of the story is, folks, if you supercharge your V6, and I think that guy D. Ford, I watched one of his videos, he's got a video of him racing a Scat Pack. And he lost. And his supercharged V6 is fast. I give respect to him. He's done a lot of work on that car, and it's fast. It's fast. And he lost. But I think he was expecting to lose because he said he didn't have his boost turned way up. But on the top end, could that, if he turns his boost up a little bit, if he doesn't have here's the thing about supercharging your car. If you're not going to do internals or bottom end, you're not going to get all the boost that you can. You can't run 20 pounds of boost. You can't run 15 pounds of boost. You got to stay down to 4, 5, 6 pounds of boost. For those that are supercharging cars who have supercharged in the past, you know this. You can't run high boost on a car if you don't have any internals or a bottom end done. So basically, you can't take a 5.7 liter and supercharger and think it's going to be the fastest car in the world. If you don't have bottom end and you don't have internals, it's not going to work, folks. It's not going to work. So it's going to work, but it's not going to be as fast as you want it to be. But again, like I was saying before, I respect this guy D. Ford because his car is actually pretty hot. He's done some work to it. He's put a lot of work into that car. And I think he had a lot of sponsorships. I don't know. I know he was sponsored by, I think he was sponsored by the Super. He's got a lot of sponsorships, so he's not actually coming out of pocket spending money on these things, if I'm not mistaken. I've had sponsors for things before, and you don't pay for the items. You might have had to pay to get it put on. I don't know how that worked for him. But the point is, he has a supercharged V6 Charger, and it's hot. Respect to him, But if you're thinking about doing performance and you're thinking about Mopar, folks, start with a 392. There's a lot of videos out there, and they're talking about how these people don't have a 392. Now, if you know me, I've always had an SRT. So if you don't know me, I've had an SRT or some kind of 6-point-something liter period in all the time of me having cars. And I've moved from one to the other. So currently it's a Scat Pack, but before that it was an SRT. I had a Scat Pack Challenger. Before that I had my Green Machine, my Beast, my 06 SRT. Before that it was a 6.2 liter Hemi, 6.2 liter small block in my Chevy. Okay, so I'm on the bigger horsepower side regularly. But there's people out there who don't have a 392 and above, or just some 6.1 liter, just any kind of SRT, and they're modifying their cars to get to that power. Baseline for me, like I've said multiple times, start with at least an SRT if you're trying to go fast and you want some good performance. Because with that, you don't have to change out your brakes, you don't have to change out your suspension, transmission, or engine. Anything below that, you gotta do some work to get that car moving. And if that hurts some feelings, I don't know what to tell you. You don't really like cars if you don't want to accept that. Because again, I'm not talking out of the side of my neck, I'm talking from experience. You're gonna have to put some money into those cars to make a move. So Mopar performance, start with a 392. Long video, like 30-minute discussion. I don't know how long it's been going, but wanted to get this out there. What are you guys' thoughts on where you should start if you like Mopar? 5.7 liter, 3.6, 392. Where do you start from? It's your man Jay Will. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.